Hello and welcome to the edition of the Daf Yomi, Daf 18 Omid A of Teruma, using the Steinsaltz edition in English, and let's dive straight in. So it says, and if it is referring to the guilt, to the substitute of a guilt offering, it is learned as tradition that this offering goes out to graze, and in any case where the sin offering is left to die, in the parallel case involving a guilt offering, the animal is left to graze until it develops a blemish, after which it is redeemed and the money is used to purchase a burnt offering. Therefore, there is no need for the verse to exclude the substitute of a guilt offering. The Gemara explains, actually the Braisa is referring to the offspring and substitute of a sin offering, and the verse is required to exclude them, despite the halacha that was learned as a tradition in their regard, for this halacha was learned only with regard to letting the animal die, and the verse says to exclude them from being sacrificed in the altar. The Gemara objects, but this halacha of sacrificing the animal upon the altar depends on that, the halacha of letting it die. Since it goes to its death, it is clearly evident that it is not sacrificed. The Gemara offers a different resolution. Rather, the halacha transmitted to Moses from Sinai is referring to a sin offering, and the verse says to exclude the case of a substitute of a guilt offering. The Gemara asks, but this halacha with regard to the substitute of a guilt offering was also learned by the sages as a tradition transmitted to Moses from Sinai, as they said that in any case where a sin offering is left to die, in the parallel case involving a guilt offering, the animal is left to graze. So what does that mean? Kol shebachatas mesa ba'asham roa. In a case of a guilt offering that does not fulfill the obligation of the owner when sacrificed, the animal is left to graze until it develops a blemish, is sold, and the money is used to purchase voluntary burnt offerings. Cases like this include situations involving a substitute of a guilt offering, or where the owner died, or where the initial offering was lost and later found, and the owner had sacrificed another animal in the meantime. This is due to the principle that in any situation where were it to occur with a sin offering, the animal will be left to die. If it occurs with a guilt offering, it is left to graze until it develops a blemish and is sold. And the proceeds are used for voluntary burnt offering. This ruling is the context of Gemara, Rama Sefer Voda Hilchot Pesuri Magdushin 4:14. Rather, the verse is necessary to teach an additional halacha that if one transgress and sacrifice the offspring of a sin offering or a guilt offering, or the substitute of a sin offering or a guilt offering, he stands in violation of a prohibition inferred from a positive mitzvah. Since this verse teaches that only the offspring of a burnt offering or peace offering may be offered, it may be inferred that the offspring of a guilt offering or sin offering may not be offered, and the violation of a prohibition stemming from a command formulated as a positive mitzvah is considered the violation of a positive mitzvah. The Braisa stated, well, in context to Rabbi Shmuel, Rabbi Akiva says that the word only is unnecessary to exclude the offspring and substitute of other sacrificial animals from being sacrificed upon the altar. As the verse that discusses guilt offerings, it is a guilt offering. Leviticus 5:19 teaches that only it, the guilt offering itself, is sacrificed, but its substitute is not offered. The Gemara asks, why do any verse teach it? Didn't the sages learn this halacha that the substitute of a sin offering is left to graze? As a tradition transmitted to Moses from Sinai, since they said that in any case where a sin offering is left to die, in the parallel case involving a guilt offering, the animal is not sacrificed but left to graze. The Gemara answers, yes, it is indeed so that the verse is unnecessary for that purpose. Rather, why do I need the verse? It is necessary to teach a halacha that Rav Huna stated, and Rav Huna said, with regard to a guilt offering that was consigned to grazing. So what's the fun now here? If a guilt offering was rendered unfit to be sacrificed, e.g. if its owner died, or turned into another offering, and the court ruled that it no longer has the status of a guilt offering, is sent to graze until it develops a blemish, after which it is sold and the money used to purchase a burnt offering. This halacha is apparently derived from the phrase in the verse, it is a guilt offering, which teaches that it remains in its current state as a guilt offering. By contrast, some of the early commentaries, such as Tosfot here and the Tosfot Harosh on Pesachim 73a, maintain that the halacha that an animal is consigned to grazing applies by rabbinic law, as by Torah law it is automatically classified as a burnt offering once it is unfit to be offered as a guilt offering. According to this interpretation, our statement that if the animal was consigned to grazing, it is valid as a burnt offering because of the verse that states with regard to a guilt offering, it is, should be deleted from the text. Rather, the verse must be understood as teaching the following. Why is a guilt offering slaughtered as a burnt offering valid? It is because from the outset it was designated to be a burnt offering, should develop a blemish, and therefore it is still considered to be a burnt offering in its present state, i.e., it had been ruled that the animal may not be sacrificed as a guilt offering. It must be left to graze until it develops a blemish, at which point it is sold, and the proceeds used for voluntary burnt offerings. An example of this is where the owner had already fulfilled his obligation with the sacrifice of a different animal. If the owner nevertheless transgressed and slaughtered it before it developed a blemish as an unspecified offering, if a guilt offering was consigned to grazing was subsequently offered as a burnt offering, this is valid in accordance with the opinion of Rav Huna. 4:15. It is a valid sacrifice for the sake of a burnt offering. The Gemara infers, if the animal was consigned to grazing, yes, it is a valid burnt offering. But if it was not consigned to grazing, no, it is disqualified as a burnt offering. What is the reason? It is that the verse states to got a guilt offering, it is a guilt offering, meaning it should remain in the present state of a guilt offering. The Gemara previously in 17b cited two Brightot that stated that the offspring of a peace offering had the status of a peace offering. According to one, that is derived from the phrase in the verse in Leviticus, if male, if female, while according to the other, is derived from the phrase in the verse in Deuteronomy, you shall take and go. The Gemara objects, and according to this Tana of the second Brightot, who derives this halacha from these verses, you shall take and go, and you shall offer your burnt offerings, the flesh and the blood, then derive it from the words male and female. The Gemara explains, he requires that verse to teach the halacha of the offspring of a blemished animal and to teach the halacha of the substitute of a blemished animal. The Gemara asks, and let him derive all the halachot, that all of the offspring and substitute of a blemished peace offering as well, and as that of the offspring and the substitute of a blemished offering from this verse, if male, if female. In the same manner that the Tana of the first Brightot derived them from that verse. The Gemara answers, he does not learn anything from the word if, which is a common term and is not considered superfluous. The Gemara asks, and according to this Tana of the first Brightot, who derives all the halach from the words if male, if female, what does he do with the phrase in the verse, you shall take and go? The Gemara answers, that verse is necessary to teach that one must bring his offerings to the temple when he ascends to Jerusalem for the festival, even if he must take them from their place of grazing, and he should not delay bringing them until the following festival. Another version of this answer is that the verse is necessary to teach that one must bring the animals he intends to consecrate, even if he must take them from the place of threshing. Migo Gayahu. According to Rashi, this is referring to threshing the grain with threshing tools. Tosafot questions this interpretation as it is prohibited to work consecrated animals. Some explain that animals entered the threshing floor on their own and began to thresh. That's from the Rabbeinu Gershom or Hagolah. Others reject this explanation as well, as here too the owners are required by rabbinic law to remove the animals from the threshing floor. They therefore interpret Rashi as referring to a case where the owner vowed to bring it up, but did not yet set aside a specific animal for his vow, and the verse is teaching that he must designate an animal for this purpose. It should be noted that Rashi elsewhere in Beitza 19b indicates that in such a case there is no positive mitzvah to sacrifice the animal on the next festival. That's from Sifat Emes, Yoet Daya. A bit more on the threshing. So there's a picture here of the Mishnayot period of a wheeled threshing sled. The threshing instruments referred to here are called turbil, based on the Greek turbolis, meaning a threshing sledge. It refers to a heavy board with a serrated bottom that threshes grain as it is dragged by an animal across the threshing floor. This tool from the Mishnayot period, which is similar to some implements still used today, have 3 rows of sharp wheels with a seat on top for the person leading the animals. I.e., even if they are currently being used to thresh, rather than delaying bringing the animals to Jerusalem at a later stage. Although the previous Mishnah stated plainly that the offspring of a peace offering is still sacrificed as a peace offering, it states it is actually subject to dispute between the Tanaim. Rabbi Eliezer says the offspring of a peace offering is not sacrificed on the altar as a peace offering, rather it is sequestered and left to die. And the Rabbi says it is sacrificed as a peace offering. Rabbi Shimon said Rabbi Eliezer and the rabbis do not disagree with regard to the state of an offspring of the offspring of a peace offering, or with regard to the state of the offspring of the substitute of a peace offering. In those cases, they all agree that the animal is not sacrificed on the altar as a peace offering. With regard to what case do they disagree? They disagree about the case of the offspring of a peace offering itself. Rabbi Eliezer says it is not sacrificed as a peace offering, whereas the rabbis say it is sacrificed. Rabbi Yeshua and Rabbi Papias is listed as one of the sages of what is referred to as Kerem B'Yavna, or the vineyard of Yavna, another name for the well-known academy in Yavna. He lived during the generation of the destruction of the temple. Apparently Rabbi Papias was a younger contemporary of Rabbi Yehoshua. Although several of his testimonies and halachic and agadic statements are found in the Mishnah and other sources, nothing is known about his life or history. With regard to the name Papias, it comes from the Greek word Papias, meaning janitor or keeper of the palace, similar to the Hebrew name Sharia, which appears in 1 Chronicles 8:38. It is also possible that Papias is an alternative form of the name Papos, testified about the offspring of a peace offering that are sacrificed as a peace offering. Rabbi Papias said, I testified that we ourselves had a cow that was a peace offering, and we ate it on Passover, and we ate its offspring as a peace offering on a different festival. The Gemara, Rabbi Ami says that Rabbi Yochanan said, what is the reason of Rabbi Eliezer that the offspring of a peace offering does not have a state of a peace offering? And it is that the verse states with regard to a peace offering, and if his offering be a sacrifice of peace offerings for the Lord, Leviticus 3:2, and the term and if VM can be read as and a mother VM, which teaches that the mother may be offered as a peace offering but not the offspring. Aman le Rabbi Chia ba'aban Rabbi Ami. If that is so, then with regard to the verse, if he offered for thanksgiving, Leviticus 7:12, so too one should interpret it to mean that one may sacrifice the mother aim, but not the offspring as a thanks offering. And if you would say that Rabbi Eliezer indeed holds that the offspring of a thanks offering is not sacrificed as a thanks offering, isn't Torah bright that the following halach with regard to the offspring of a thanks offering and its substitute and its replacement? If the original animal was lost and found again, rendering both animals suitable for an offering, where is it derived that all these are sacrificed as thanks offerings? The verse states, if for thanksgiving, which indicates they may be offered as a thanks offering in any case. Rabbi Chia ba'aba, Rabbi Yochanan. This is the reason Rabbi Eliezer that the offspring of a peace offering is not offered sacrifice as a peace offering. It is a rabbinic decree that it may not be sacrificed, lest the owner delay sacrificing the peace offerings that he is obligated to bring, so that he may raise entire herds from them. If he does not raise such herds, he might inadvertently violate the prohibition against shearing or working consecrated animals, which applies even if they are disqualified and then redeemed. Rashi in Baruch 33b indicates that this concern does not apply to the animals that are born after the redemption of the disqualified consecrated animal, as they have no sanctity. Rather, the concern relates to the disqualified animals themselves, and he may raise them until individuals come and purchase them at relatively low prices for their hides in order to manufacture jugs. Alternatively, the owner might retain the disqualified consecrated animals prior to their redemption and raise herds from them, and ultimately violate the prohibition of shearing and working the offspring that are born prior to the animal's redemption. The Jewish Talmud, Beitza 3:6. I've lost the note here. In order to sell the animals, the people need peace offerings. The Mishnah teaches, Rabbi Shimon said, Rabbi Eliezer and the rabbis do not disagree with regard to the state of the offspring of a peace offering, or with regard to the state of the offspring or an offspring of a substitute of a peace offering. In those cases, they all agree that the animal is not sacrificed on the altar as a peace offering. With regard to what case do they disagree? They disagree only by the offspring of a peace offering itself. The lamb was raised before the sages. How precisely is the Mishnah taught? Is it saying that Rabbi Eliezer and the rabbis do not disagree whether the offspring are sacrificed or they are not sacrificed, but rather they all agree, even Rabbi Eliezer, that they are sacrificed? Or perhaps it is saying that they do not disagree whether the offspring of the offspring are sacrificed or they are not sacrificed, rather they all agree, even the stage that they are not sacrificed. Rabbah said, it stands to reason that the Mishnah is saying that they do not disagree whether the offspring of the offspring are not sacrificed, but rather they all agree that they are sacrificed. What is the reason? It is that Rabbi Elazar is agreed to Rabbi only with regard to the offspring. With regard to the offspring of the offspring, Rabbi Elazar does not render it prohibited to sacrifice them, as there may be a chance, an uncommon occurrence, that one delays sacrificing an offering to the point that the offspring of his offspring have already been born. And Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi says that the correct reading of the Mishnah is, they do not disagree whether the offspring of the offspring are sacrificed, but rather all agree that they are not sacrificed. What is the reason? It is that the rabbi disagrees with Rabbi Elazar only with regard to the offspring, with regard to the offspring of the offspring, and the result of his actions with regard to it, i.e., that he delayed sacrificing the original offering for such a long period of time. In the sense, it is evident that he wants to raise herds from it. Therefore, the halacha is that the offspring of the offspring may not be sacrificed in order to deter from the outset from raising herds. The offspring of a peace offering, the offspring of the substitute of the peace offering are sacrificed as peace offerings, as they have the status of peace offerings in all regards. This is the case with regard to the offspring themselves, but the offspring of the offspring may not be sacrificed, as this has the appearance of one who is retaining them in order to raise herds. He is therefore penalized and prohibited from sacrificing them in accordance with the Mishnah and the opinion of Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi. Imam Sefer Kabbalah, Hilchot Teruma 4:1. Thank you for listening, and I wish you a very good day. All the best. Bye.